Hello and welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Wiegmann, in the studio. But we're not in the studio. We're at the National Crappie League Championship. I am so excited. I'm pumped up because I happen to have as my guests this week the two guys I got to ride the boat in with. And when you actually see these guys, they're like surgeons. One's cutting and dicing, and the other one's just packing it and making sure that the guy doesn't bleed out in front. Yep. Or in this case, freeze out.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're with JoJo and we're with Clay, and they are part of the slider team, the pro team. So take it away. Tell us, how'd you get here? How'd you get to the championship?
So on the NCL, we've been fishing them all year. We was really amped up about the new tournament trail coming out, and we figured we'd hop in there, go in feet first and see what happens. And we qualified for the championship. We fished 5 of the tournaments across the country, and we did really well. We did really well in the tournaments, and this is, it may not be a huge field so far. It's going to be, but the ones that do fish this thing are some sticks. They are some hammers, and they know you got to be on your game to beat them. And
just by ounces.
Yeah.
Ounces.
Yeah. And these guys, you can't say enough about them, man. They're stout. They don't mess around.
And JoJo was talking, teams coming from all over. Even the teams themselves also come from other places, because you guys are not from the same, aren't you, Clay?
Yes, sir. I'm from Tennessee, just over the Alabama state line.
Right.
In St. Joe. Actually booked a guide trip with Tri-Lake Guide Service, the guide service that JoJo owns, back in March of 2022. I've been catching crappie all my life, but never a chance at a 3-pounder, and that's the guide service you want to go to if you want a 3-pounder. I caught a 333 and a 302 in the same day. My wife caught a 286 in that trip, and we kind of hit it off. And I asked him, I said, man, this NCL tournament trail's coming out, and if it's something you want to fish, I got the contacts. I think we can get some sponsors and fish it. And we went after it, and here we are now. We was in second place in Angler of the Year coming into this event, down by 1 point, and the show is over today.
And tell them a little bit, how'd you end up finishing?
We ended up finishing 3rd, but we did win Angler of the Year. So,
you did?
Yeah. So we got that. We almost had big fish. These guys, like I said before,
they just edged out.
These guys are hammers. So for a big fish to last 3 days, you'd have to it'd have to be really big, because these guys they're going to get it.
Yeah, and so you actually fished 3 different lakes?
Yes, sir.
So tell us about that, Clay. Fishing 3 different lakes, how does that roll? You guys, did you do pre-fishing on any of them?
We pre-fished Caney for a day, and then a half a day. The cutoff was 12 o'clock on Wednesday on Darbone, and both the lakes are totally different. Well, actually, all 3 lakes are totally different. First lake was a whitefish lake. The second lake was a blackfish lake, and then back to a whitefish lake yesterday. So it was a lot of preparation and tackle time and set up on equipment to make sure you had everything going on to have the right equipment for each tournament destination.
I think a lot of people don't know what it takes to have, a team tournament's different. Even though they did have some people fishing by themselves, that fishing with the team, the efficiency that you guys do, because I was in the boat and I watched them. They're like surgeons. One surgeon's doing something, the other surgeon's doing the other thing, and you put that together. When you put that together, there was rarely a time when, like, Clay wasn't looking and seeing what he was doing, knowing what he was doing, even though he's like measuring, weighing fish. You're still up in front there. So how do you know who's going to fish and who's going to be the person that does everything else?
Well, you kind of, it's experience mainly. Nothing against him. He's an awesome fisherman, and he catches fish every time he goes.
Right.
But you want to put your best foot forward, you know what I mean? And on with nowadays with the forward-facing sonar, you really want to, like I said, put your best foot forward. And in that category, that was me.
Right.
But you can't do it without a great deckhand, net man. I call him my mentor pimp.
Can we say that? Are we a clean enough show?
Yeah.
Sure, we can say that.
But he, man, he's, I can't say enough about it. You seen it yesterday. It was freezing cold. Wind was blowing 100. And he hung in there better than I did. And I was bundled up, and he was just dressed normal, casual.
Right. Oh, he had his hands in the minnow bucket. We'll get to him and see how cold he really was.
Yeah.
If he'll admit how cold he
Right,
was, because
yeah.
he kind of a tough dude
Yeah,
yesterday. I mean,
absolutely.
his hands, I'm pretty sure they were frozen. He'd say, I get the minnows. Your hands are still warm. And then he did touch your hand, and you said, damn, your hands.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
I say that? He said, man, your hands are cold.
Yep. That was pretty wild, man. Yesterday, of course, you was in the boat with us. You seen, I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't function, and that probably played a lot of part in why we kind of fell off from first.
Right.
We led the first 2 days coming into this thing, and on day 3 we fell off pretty bad. I didn't move. I probably fished a little 2-acre spot, all day.
Yeah.
And to win these things, you got to cover tons of water.
Right.
You got to move all over the place, and most of it needs to be on your trolling motor. We may have covered a lot of water as far as miles on the trolling motor, but we didn't go a far distance.
Right.
So that's the reason why we fell off. It's the weather. You got to be prepared for that kind of stuff, and I thought I was, but I wasn't. That was probably the worst weather I've ever fished in.
You said you were a duck hunter, and you said you were uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and that's like saying someone who sits in a bathtub of ice and smiles and has a good time.
Right. Yep. It was very uncomfortable to me. I was not having a good time. I was ready to go at 9 o'clock. He's the one that you heard it.
Yeah.
He was the one that kept me in the boat, and I was saying some choice words throughout the whole morning. And but I finally got warmed up around lunch. The sun popped out a couple times, so it was just a little too late. I should have been on them all day, and I was only on them for an hour.
You were on there for quite a while,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
You were on him. Now, saying that he doesn't fish, you actually took like a break and went back, and he actually did fish.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
did.
so it wasn't like it's just all
Yeah.
one. It
Right.
was. I mean, it's what you're trying to do is trying to get one person do something, the other
Yeah.
person do something, and you get things done better and more efficiently doing that. Because if
that's
both
right.
people are trying to, you wouldn't know what's in the well. And Clay knew what was in the well.
Right,
Like
yeah.
he knew, and you guys are so good at catching 1.32, right? Wasn't that the one?
Yeah.
How many of those did you catch, Clay?
Over and over and over, man.
Seriously. Like Clay's looking at him and
If anybody wants to go catch 132 and some good eater fish, Poverty Point's the place.
Yeah, that's a fact.
you'll give them the waypoints,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You can catch them off a dock over there. That lake is absolutely loaded with fish. We had a great time. That would be a good lake to just go and fun fish.
Right.
Caney was not a lot of fish.
Right.
I think we caught 9 fish all
Really?
day. 9 fish. But it was the right 9 fish. And I knew they was, and I love catching black crappie.
Uh-huh.
I'm a white crappie fisherman, but I love catching blacks. And I want to be so good at it because it's so different. I don't get to do it a lot,
Right.
At my lakes at home, we strictly white fish, so
Uh-huh.
whenever I got the chance to do this Caney Lake, I was like, man, this is some big black crappie. I'm going to love it. And we found them, right off the bat, actually. There was a bunch of brush piles and stuff, and they have some giants in there. And like I said, we caught the right 9 fish. We didn't call them many times, but it was the right ones.
So Clay, since you're the master of all, he's the master of one, which is catching them. Let's talk about
pretty much.
minnows. Let's talk about minnows, because see all that preparation and stuff. He's just sitting in the motel room and watching MMA or something, and you're out there having to get minnows, and you're getting the boat ready. Maybe not, but
That's true. That's true. He does.
So that prep, just like go through us a normal prep for a tournament that you guys would fish. What would you start with?
Well, it's going to be according to what lake, but you're definitely going to have at least 2 rods and reels rigged up
Okay.
with different presentations. You're going
All
to have the Engle cooler ready, full of minnows, the smallest ones you can get most of the time. Sometimes different lakes you need bigger minnows, and just getting everything ready. It's about a 2-hour process, I'd say, at least to get ready.
Yeah, and what's some of the supplies that you like? What's some of the supplies that you get ready or have to purchase for each tournament besides the minnows? You got G juice, stuff like that.
Yeah,
What else?
G juice. We use P-line.
Okay.
All the baits are different, wherever we got several good bait companies we're on pro staff with and sponsored by, and just according to what lake it is, if you're different, but like sliders work awesome in the springtime, throwing up shallow with that little paddle tail through brush, and out there in deep water, where you can control it better with live scope. It's hard to beat what you're trying to imitate with a artificial lure.
Yep. So you getting the baits? Well, let's just break down. You can tell me which slider lures are your favorite and what colors. That way I can. Just wait so I can get notepaper out or something. I'll just put that on my phone so I know the right ones to use.
They're all good. They're all good, but if I had to pick 3 to go all over the country with, I'd say black and chartreuse, June bug and chartreuse, and monkey milk in a 1.5-inch slider crappie grub.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a hammer.
And what head are we using?
The weedless 16th ounce when we're fishing with those sliders, sometime a 32nd.
Right.
But when we're out there live scoping, it's either a Trippy Sticks jig head or just another crappie bait company jig heads. They make the 2 best jig heads.
And so let's talk a little about rods and reels. I mean, what are you using? You're switching up, but I know when you were minnow fishing, you had that 16-foot long pole.
Yep. So it kind of depends on your style, what style fishing. So whitefish, I always love a long pole. So I use a 16-foot 1039. And it's probably, in my opinion, it's the best live scope pole there is on the market.
Right.
You can't beat it, and you cannot break it. I can pull a truck out of the mud with it. I mean,
Really?
it's stout.
You're on Grenada, so you are pulling trucks.
Right, yeah.
3-pound trucks.
Yeah, pretty much. And but the other day at Caney, so that's a total different ball game.
Right.
You're casting really light tackle. Wow. And I was using a 64th bullet weight, about 4 foot above my minnow. So I could cast out there, check the time, watch my phone, whatever, before the bait ever got to the fish. And but you need something really light and something that's going to cast really well. So we used the slider reels. Them things are awesome. And we used the 1039 7-foot casting rod for the blackfish. And
slider reels, what's that?
They Charlie Brewer Slider Company's actually got reels, you know. They're kind of like a Fluger President, but they're Slider's actual reel, and they're the smoothest reel you'll see.
Yep,
going to have to get with Caroline and see what the deal is.
Yeah, they're great. Yep,
Test those out.
Yep.
Huh. What else do you have that I don't know about? What do you got sneaking back in the back there?
You'll have to get in the boat and look.
Well, I've already been in the boat, but you guys are fishing a tournament. When you're fishing a tournament, you know, it's pretty impossible. I was really happy, and you'll have to watch the show, but we actually posted one on Facebook of you guys catching a fish and showing that. But the teamwork, but you let me stand up there, and I don't know how many we got on film of you catching fish that big 16-foot long bowed up, and not that everyone looked big, but I mean some of those were some good quality fish that you were catching, and so you've been traveling on. What's your favorite lake to fish?
Man, I have been to a lot of them, and it's hard to decide. Obviously, I love my home lakes.
Right.
You know, Grenada, that's crappie capital of the world.
That's right.
But my favorite lake as far as just catching fish would probably be Lake Fork.
Oh, wow.
I love that place.
Fishing the bridges, or are you fishing what?
Brush piles, stumps, whatever. I mean, they have got some monster fish, and they're easy to catch. If you just want to go and catch some fish, that place is probably the easiest, when it's right. Probably the easiest place to catch fish. Wow. Now, Sardis comes in there close. Sardis is pretty dang fun, too, and it's loaded with crappie. I mean, it's almost, I don't hate to put a number on it because it's more crappie in that lake than any other fish.
Wow.
And, well, Grenada, obviously, your big fish. It's not much of a numbers lake, but you can catch some giants in there.
Yeah, pretty amazing. So, Clay, have you ever pranked him when he's been up front there, like in practice or something, and put like peanut butter behind his ear or something, or Vaseline on his reel handle or something, you know, in practice just to keep it light? Because you guys are out there like practicing you're still practicing 8-hour days or more.
Yeah.
How do you, like, what do you do when you're practicing to make the time go? I mean, you know, you're just not staring at the graph.
Well, he did get me, and I'll share this one with you. He got me the one we won on Sardis. We won the NCL on Sardis. And all day I was mad on day 2. Day 1, I was happy because I caught what I wanted to catch. Day 2, I was mad. I was ready to fight anything. I was so mad because I was like, we done lost the freaking tournament. He's telling me we got like 8 pounds on the thing. And I'm like, man, those fish just look bigger than that. But I guess he's weighing them. He knows what they are. We get to the weigh-in and win it. We had 10 pounds the whole time, and he's telling me we had 8. But he didn't want me to let off the gas, you know. So that was the thing.
He was your motivation speaker back in there.
He got me. He knows how to keep me going. He knows how to keep me settled down, because up there it's stressful. It's very stressful, especially when a fish noses up to your bait and he don't bite. You know you got to have that fish.
And you had a couple of those.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely.
let's do some tips. Tips from the back if you're fishing the back of the boat. I mean, back of the boat meaning that you're the net man, the man in charge. What's a tip that you can give everyone out there if they're doing the same job that you have? What's that?
Well, your number one job is to make sure the person fishing his rod and reel's ready to go, and when he hooks the fish, you need to be up there at the net. If you're back there at the live well and he hooks one, you better be jumping up to the front with the net. That's why yesterday I was a little bit cold, to be honest, but I'd rather be cold and have on the clothes where I can move and slide up there to net a big fish than be bundled up and not be able to move and lose a monster that cost us a tournament just because I was warm, you know.
All right, up front there, what does it take?
Patience. You want to be patient, but you want to be fast also. If I can give anybody any tip, it's to learn how to fish as fast as you possibly can. You want to cover as much water as possible. So if you go out and practice and you want to start fishing tournaments, get on the lake, put your trolling motor down, set it on 8 to 10, and roll. And you need to be looking for fish, catch everything you see, and because you don't never know. And that's how you get good at it. And also, you want to be super accurate, too. So whenever you see that fish and you drop, you want to make that first drop count. Because if you mess it up, usually a big, giant fish is not going to bite again.
Okay. And if they don't have crappie breaks, just keep hammering down?
Yeah, it's
get
gonna
one
be tough.
cast?
It's going to be real tough.
Because you have crappie breaks.
Yes.
You probably have crappie breaks
I
on your
actually
boat.
got power brakes on some poles on my boat. You know, where you just hit the Minn Kota Raptors up front and it sets them down. Yeah. But I fish open water more, and he's in stumps, so I don't have to worry about breaking them off, you know, on the poles.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, that sounds good. That takes us to Tackle Time. Tackle Time sponsored by PICO Lures. PICO Lures has a complete line of hard and soft bait. So if you're doing any kind of crappie fishing or walleye fishing or white bass fishing, largemouth fishing, you name it, they have a lure that you can catch fish on. So make sure you check them out at picolures.com. Hey, if they want to find out more about your guide service, JoJo, like me, I need to go down there, go fishing with them.
Absolutely.
Where would they go?
So you can go online. I have a website, Tri-Lake Guide Service, or you can go on Facebook, which is how most things turn these days.
Right.
So get on Facebook and search Tri-Lake Guide Service, and I also have my tournament fishing page, which is JoJo Baker Fishing.
Okay.
Check that out, and he also has one as well, Clay Wilson Fishing.
It's actually under SRO Wilson Fishing. That stands for School Resource Officer. That's my job when I'm not fishing.
All right. School Resource Officer.
Yeah.
Look at that. And you do some work in the school then, right?
Yeah.
In all schools or just one particular school?
I'm at Davy Crockett Elementary in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
There you go. You gave a shout out. That
Yeah.
means they'll all have to listen to the show.
Yep.
There you go. That's pretty spectacular. So there you go. There you have it. That'll, like I always to end the show. Make sure you keep your hook sharp, your lures in the water.
That's a fact.